By the way, if you're wondering what my purse is and why I have one, it's this. This is my purse. Hello YouTube. Today we're going to be changing the wheel bearing in the front of my Gen 5 2015 to 2019 Subaru Outback. Let's get started. So I replaced the other side recently, and I'm going to go ahead and replace this one really as a preventative maintenance, and let's see how it goes. First thing I'm going to do is real easy. Get it up in here, get it on jack stands, and get the wheel off. That's needed for just about everything. If you have a lift, I'm jealous. I'm not quite there yet. Once you're in there, we're going to want to go ahead and take off the brake rotor, the bracket, and the caliper. Something to know is this is not the factory Outback brake, but it installs basically the same like most brakes. Back here, there are some large bolts that attach to the knuckle, and once that is off, you can pull the whole thing out as one big assembly. You'll also want to disconnect this 10 or 12 mil bolt here, and then what I'll do is I'll just hang it up here to get it out of the way. So get this 12 mil out, and then we're also back on the back of, let me turn the light on for you guys. Back here on the, this is what is typically referred to as the knuckle, this big cast piece that I'm running my finger along here. On here, there is an ABS sensor that is a 10 mil. And you're going to want to take this off by hand, even if you have power tools. Something else, I tend to tighten it just a quarter, not even a quarter, like a quarter of a quarter turn, like a 1/16 of a turn, and before I loosen it. So spraying this with some PB is also a good idea. This one can get stuck, and it will be a pain if you break it. And that'll look. So what I do to help out, did you see how it moved just the bit that it moved just now? That's all you want to do, because now you know it's loose and it's not seized in there, and since the last way it went was in, it still wants to go in. And then with the bolt out, grab you a chisel that you don't like or you don't mind breaking, or same with the screwdriver. And I've already done it for the camera here because I have my tripod in the other car and I don't want to go get it because it's cold. But we're going to tap it down, and then it should be loose enough to just pull out, which it is. This can be a real pain. Be careful on these. Now again, if you're not comfortable taking this brake caliper off, check out one of my other videos. I will link one here for taking this front brake off, because this is not a factory brake, but the procedure is very similar. When I'm doing something like this, I tend to just take it off as one big unit. It doesn't seem worth the bother, but if you want to take off the caliper then the bracket, you're welcome to do that too. And then we're going to get this off. Theoretically, oh, it is loose, yeah. There we go. Doesn't always do that. Be ready to smack it. If you're going to do that, I have a couple recommendations. Recommendation 1 is something that's pretty easy to find in most shops, is a simple rubber mallet. This usually isn't enough. This, however, is a dead blow. So when you smack this, you get the full force, but you have a lot lower chance of marring the surface as I mar the surface there, but that's just the grease. So if you need to smack it, try with this. If worse comes to worse, you can try hitting it with a larger hammer. If you try to hit it with something like this, a mini sledge or bigger, you're very likely to damage that rotor, and we don't want to do that unless you're also changing the rotor at the same time. But with those rotors off, well, that rotor off, you're looking at the hub and bearing assembly right here. So these 4 bolts right here, 1, 2, 3, and then the counterpart over here 4, are what hold it to the knuckle. Those will be 14 mil. You reach them back here where my middle finger is touching. And then this is a 32 mil axle nut holding the axle into the bearing. So we'll take the axle nut off. And then again, I'm not going to be able to get a shot, but you'll want to access these 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, and again, the 4th one's going to be hidden. We'll want to go ahead and take those off. Again, PB helps. Whatever penetrant you like. Heat helps. This is a 2017. I've done some rust coating on it before, but I can see these getting pretty bad at this point. And we've got those 4 bolts out. I apologize I couldn't show it on camera, but they came right out. I do have an impact gun. If you don't, you're gonna have a fun time. You might need to turn the steering wheel either way to get enough leverage. And remember, you're looking at it backwards, so you actually want to be righty-loosey. So you want to be rotating that way from your angle if you're doing this on the ground. And now all we need to do is remove the wheel bearing itself. And I have a tool to do that, but I want to try a new one out because I want to see if I can be a little quieter. This is the Lyle 4100. It works a little bit different than the one I've used in the past. But I wanted to see if this was any better than hitting it with my purse. By the way, if you're wondering what my purse is and why I have one, it's this. This is my purse. So this one works a little bit differently. This has a plate that attaches to the surface. You reuse some old lugs, or I guess if you really don't have any, you can put whatever on, or you can knock the bolt out. But I wanted to see if this will work, and then you just give it some torque, and then you'll spin it a bit, give it some torque. I really don't see a lot of places for this to hit on this particular knuckle, but I'll let you know how it goes. So my honest opinion, take your pick. I can see this being a little less versatile than the big yellow smacker that I have. But you don't need a 15-pound sledge. So if you don't have a 15-pound sledge, this is probably cheaper, and you could run this by hand. That took all of 30 seconds, a minute to get this off of here. And you can see the problem. This bearing here rust welds to the knuckle. So, by the way, if you have any axle issues, now's a great time to replace it. I'm going to go ahead and replace it because I've already replaced the one on the other side recently, and I figure this one's not far behind, and now's the time to do it. A quick review between the Lyle 4100 and the hub shocker. I have broke one of these. If you have a sledge and some grade 8 bolts, I'd say this is a more violent way of doing it, probably, I don't know about more reliable, but more guaranteed. And the Lyle, I worked on that. I showed it taken off at, gosh, I think it was after midnight. So relatively quiet using this, and very loud using this. I'd recommend hearing protection. I think this is a few bucks more, but this requires a sledgehammer. So probably about the same price, and just kind of different tools, different needs for the same task. So take your pick. But anyways, I pulled that out, put the new axle in. You don't need to do that unless you want to do it at the same time, because this is just what we're focusing on. You don't have to do this. You will have to change the brake or remove the brake. But I'm going to clean this surface up and put some anti-seize on. Just because I like the next guy that's going to be in here, because I have a good idea who that next guy is going to be, and it's going to be me. Let me get two hands here. And then I'm going to just one little dab of anti-seize and cover everything in creation. And get some on the splines, because these suck and they love to rust. They're constantly seized, so apply liberally. Apply liberally.
Apply liberally.
And here's the new OEM piece. If you can't read that number right there. Anyways, I'll put it up on the screen. But we're going to put it on in. Line it up on the splines. And bolt. And then we're going to thread the bolts through. So I got all these threaded. It went pretty easy. And now I'm just going to torque them. I'm going to kind of go in a cross pattern. So like start here, then down, then up. I guess more of an X pattern. But that way it's not kind of cockeyed setting in there or anything. There's less chance of that. And I might try to put just a dab of anti-seize on the threads that are still exposed. And I already did put anti-seize on here because I really hate when this sensor gets clogged and jammed in there. But we're just going to tighten it down. Alright. Don't forget, you have the ability to turn the wheel if you need extra space to get tools in. Turn it to the left. It makes it easier to do back here. Turn the wheel to the right. It opens up this space on the right. Turn the steering wheel to the left, opens up this space on the left. Reinstall your axle nut with that big old 32, and then go ahead and restake it. I believe technically you're supposed to replace this, but I've never had a problem reusing it. I replace it when I replace the axle when it comes with it. There's a little notch here. I'm not going to be able to show it, but give it a couple smacks to keep that nut from wanting to walk out. We'll go ahead, reinstall the ABS sensor, and then we'll go ahead and reinstall the brake rotor. There it is. Anyways, we'll go ahead and reinstall the caliper. Hey, it worked that time. And that's pretty much it. Go ahead and button everything up. If you took this off, don't forget to put it back on. Get your wheel on. And give it a test drive. Hope this video helped you quiet that wheel bearing. Thanks for watching.